this episode of Late Night Writers, we'll be talking to Sue Wilson and her product, the Hay Optimizer. I think it will be quite interesting for you to listen in.
Aren't most of us born as horse girls?
Yes.
I was.
Yeah,
I was.
yeah. I was. I For my fifth birthday, we didn't live on a farm. We lived in town, but I was always, agitating to go pony riding
Mhm.
or whatever, I could convince my parents to do. My fifth birthday party, my father took me and my friends to see the famous racehorse, Northern Dancer.
Oh, yeah.
He was a Canadian
Mhm.
racehorse thoroughbred who had won the Triple Crown, and
Mm-hmm.
he was back in Canada breeding. And that was the most exciting thing I could want to do
Yeah.
for that birthday when I was just 5 years old. Yeah, so always had horses, or always loved horses, but didn't get my first horse until I was 12. My sister and I pooled our resources, and we bought an old retired school horse named
Aw.
McTavish,
I
and
like the name.
yeah, we called him Mac, and we bought him for $175,
Aw,
Oh.
a
and
premium.
we yeah, no saddle. We It took us a year to save to get a saddle,
Hmm.
but we had a bridle, and Mac taught us how to ride, and we boarded him at a friend's farm, which was within walking distance of our house, and we helped with the chores on the farm, so that we
Mhm.
were able to afford the board. Yeah, so that was our first horse, first
Mm.
of several, and then
Mm.
sadly, when I went to university, I just couldn't afford to have a horse and
Mhm.
be away at
Mhm.
school. And so I went for about 30 years without having a horse.
Oh wow.
And
Wow.
then after my children were, after, career and children, and they were older, I had a little bit more time. So decided it was time to get back to horses again.
Yeah.
Aw, aw. And so, how many horses do you have right now, Sue, or what do you have
So
currently?
yes, our family currently has four horses. So my husband is a really good rider.
Oh,
So he has a horse. Yeah, I'm lucky.
yeah. I'm
um,
like,
so
wow. Yeah.
yeah, I know. um, so my husband, my daughter is a really good rider. And then I kind of have two. So I have a retired horse that can no longer be ridden. And then I recently acquired a little gypsy van or pony for me to
Mm-hmm.
ride, and I've been enjoying him immensely. He's
Aw.
he's a
Mm-hmm.
horse, but he's pony sized, and
Mhm.
he's a stout little jolly fellow. And
So sweet.
so we have three rideable, one that's retired and enjoying her retirement years with us.
That's neat.
Aw.
Everybody talks about gypsy vanners, like they love them so much. They're so pretty. They have all the beautiful, like, feathers on their feet, or just their little disposition. They're pretty solid, where they can drive, ride, pull, whatever it is. They kind of take the job on,
Yeah,
don't they? Yeah.
yeah, they do. Well, this little guy, he was imported from Wales. He was actually,
Oh,
Oh
bred
wow.
oops.
in Wales by a gypsy person, and was imported to Canada when he was fairly young to be a breeding stallion. But he didn't grow big enough, and ironically enough, his name was Tom Thumb, and so he he is this like little horse, but sadly had to be gelded, because
Aw.
he wasn't big enough to really
Mhm.
breed the size of horse that most people tend to want, in the
Mm,
15 hand size.
Mhm.
Yeah,
mhm.
Hmm.
Wow. How
yeah.
old is he now? Is he
He, yeah, he's 13 years old, so
13?
he's been in
Okay.
That's
Canada for
perfect.
most of his life.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
How
yeah,
nice is
perfect.
that?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I know there was something about also too, you talked about in your past about a beautiful park that you went to too, as also. And was there
Oh,
yep,
yes.
the
Well,
wishing area? Yep. Mm-hmm.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
the Wishing Well. That's why I
Yep.
named my company Wishing Well.
There you go.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
we lived in Toronto, near Toronto, and there was a beautiful park, that we would often visit in the summer, in the summers when we were taking our relatives home to their home. It's called Edwards Gardens, and there's a wishing well in the park. And my sister and I would just boot it over to the wishing well, and my dad would give us pennies, and we could throw pennies in the wishing well. And I would always wish for a million horses. That was my, which was,
Aw.
now that I've had a few, four is enough.
There you go. So,
Yeah.
so through your love of horses, then you are an entrepreneur, and you have come to providing this product that we absolutely love, the hay optimizers. So tell us a little bit about that and how you got started. How that all happened and began.
Oh, well, thank you for loving my product.
We do. We've
Um,
got it in our pasture with our horses, two of them. So.
yeah. Well, I currently don't live on a farm. I lease a farm and run kind of a little co-op uh, program for trail riding enthusiasts like ourselves. Anyway, so I've been doing that for the last 10 years and have a beautiful farm that's about 5 miles from where we live here in town. Um, always looking, because I don't live there, always looking for ways to make chores more efficient, convenient, cost effective. Our horses live outside all the time. They do have access to, we have a big old barn, and they have the basement of the barn that they can go in and out as much as possible. We've got box stalls in there for them, but for the most part, they live outside all the time. And so, our philosophy gradually became that, we wanted to ensure that, especially in the winter, our horses always had access to hay.
Mm-hmm.
But we found if we just put hay on the ground, it would get tromped on and messed up.
Mm-hmm.
They'd overeat, we'd waste so much hay. So then we started using hay bags. But for 7 or 8 horses, which is what we typically have on the farm, that was taking over an hour a day to fill hay bags, to go out and get them. Sometimes they'd be frozen,
Right.
bring them in, fill each one, take them all back out. And, it was so monotonous and repetitive. And sometimes the horses, there was still quite a bit of waste we found under the hay bag. They'd pull the hay out and a lot would sprinkle to the ground. And, if it was a little bit muddy or whatever, the hay would get ruined. So we decided we wanted to develop a product that would be fast and easy to fill, but would provide the slow feeding benefits of hay bags. And so the owner of the farm, his name is Matthew. He had already developed a product called the Optimizer years ago, and actually sold the rights of that one to your good friend System Equine here in Canada. So the original Optimizer was a large galvanized steel container with a metal grid that floated down to the bottom, and that horses would consume the hay out of it. And it worked really well, but it was not a slow feeder, and we weren't really fans of the metal grid. So Matthew and I worked together to basically change, come up with a version 2 of the Optimizer. And I always loved the branding of the product. That was his original branding, Optimizer, because I truly believe, what we're trying to do is provide optimal care for our horses, and this is a product that optimizes the feeding of hay to horses.
I just want to step into and just say, here we come then, and we have horses in our paddock, like six of our horses in one and 4 in another. And so we have been using before we met Sue, we started off, how do we do? We just started with round bales because our horses were outside all the time. And then the round bales, of course, got wet underneath. So then we got a round hay bale ring to put them in.
Yeah.
So now we've got a hay bale ring that we used, which we thought, okay, now we're moving right along. So then this hay bale that we would put in, our big horses would just bury their noses down in the hay, which was fine, but they were, just eating as much as they could and getting really kind of hay bellies from eating the hay. And then, not to mention then, where this was, like we thought we were doing something that was good, saving on money, that type of thing. the hay and the mud all the way around the ring
Yeah.
was pathetic. It was just hay, mud tromped all down in with the hay, and the loss of, what we were paying, because at the time, actually, like 2 years ago and a year ago, our hay prices skyrocketed, and we were paying a premium for hay, and I was just sick inside, because not only did it look just so terrible and the horses are standing in mud, the hay's being wasted and they're just filling up,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
wasn't good. So here we are with this problem. And then we find out about this hay optimizer, and I was like, what do you think? So we didn't know. And then Sue said, just try it. Just give it a try it. So, little, not skeptical, but just like, okay. But then after getting it and using it, absolutely difference, 100% difference, night and day. I mean, the hay is not lost. They're not filling up on hay immediately and looking for what else do I forage for in the winter. It keeps them busy. It's so, to me, what your horses really need, because they're grazers. They want to
Right.
graze. So the reason that I'm saying this is, I think as horse people, we always want what's the best for our horses. I mean, the absolute best. And they need to graze. It's just their instinct. And when you've got something like this, they can eat throughout the whole day and stay happy. And
They're content.
they're content, they're relaxed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just more natural for them. So, I mean, really, if we want to be honest, as horse people, we want to do the right things for our horses. This is one of the things that I think is really necessary. It's important, especially for people who have any place where there's dirt, sand, dirt paddocks, anything where it's a dry lot.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, to me, the
One of the best products.
the answer.
Not to mention you're saving money in the long run because you're not having as much wasted hay.
Yeah, and if you guys have seen any of the other feeders, I mean, I've looked at several, not to criticize people, but a lot of the feeders can be tipped over. The metal grates are not as nice as the netting that the hay optimizer has. I mean, there's so many different things that we looked at with other ones that are out there, because I wasn't really well versed on them. But once we looked at the optimizer, then I could see the differences in the others that are there. So I love it because it has 4 legs that it stands on that are completely sturdy. The unit itself is made out of super strong material, which, so I'm going to let you talk about all of this, but I'm just telling you from my perspective. And then the horses are just eating around it, and it's not the problem that we had before. There's not a loss of hay. So I'm sorry, I love this. I think it's what this is, if you want something natural for your horse and that you think is, good for them, and hands down, if you have a dirt paddock, this is for you.
And
So,
like
Yeah.
Sue was saying, it took her an hour just to fill, the hay bags. And this
the
thing
time.
is just so quick. You
And
can
have-
put the bales in and it's done in like under 2 minutes.
If anybody's worked with horses when they're hungry and
Yeah.
you're trying to tie hay
Yeah.
bags for them or whatever, they're just all over
Yeah.
you, and you're trying to tie it, and they're pushing you, and it's pulling down, and you're trying to pull it up, and you're trying to tie it, and then they're right next to you. I mean, it's just not fun, and when
Yeah.
you do that every day. So
And
anyway,
it just keeps them
No.
content for so long. They are so content, and it's such a calming thing that they have to be able to just, like when we drive past Grayson every
horse
day.
Grayson.
I mean, we have one right next to our driveway, so we get to see it every day. And Grayson just completely has changed his demeanor, his calmness. And when you fill the hay feeder, they're not right at you at the gate. I mean, it's I think because they're mentally, they've, it takes on so much for them. And we've just noticed a great and then you can move it around, so they're never sure like where it's going to be either, which is really awesome because you can just literally drag that around like
2 cutout
so easy.
handles on each side. You can pull it or have somebody help you move it. It's super simple.
Yeah.
Super simple.
Yeah, we really wanted to make it easy to move around because it does get kind of tromped around and maybe muddy,
Yeah.
where the horses spend a lot of time. So we've got 2 handholds in the front and the back, and I can easily pull it 20, 30 feet,
Yeah.
to get it into a new position. I tend to put our paddocks are kind of hilly, so I tend to put ours on a bit of an incline, just so that if it rains or if the snow melts, there's drainage away from it. But I reposition ours probably every 3 or 4 days. If to go far, I'll usually get my daughter, um, and the two of us then, and I'll go in front, but I'll walk forward because I'll kind of know where I want to go, and I'll use the handhold walking forward, and she'll follow me along and carry most of the weight herself. But it only weighs about 100 pounds, and Debbie, yeah, as you said, it's very stable with the four legs. So great drain. So it's a large manger basically
It
that you
is.
fit two square bales into. And we have 13 now drainage holes. So no matter what kind of terrain you put the optimizer in, it will drain.
Yeah.
So the hay stays, it'll get damp obviously, but the water won't pool in the optimizer if it rains. And yeah, and to your point about contentness of the horses, Kristen, I've got a story here. This from this week in Canada. A woman by the name of Jennifer reached out to me and was interested in the optimizer, but she told me, she said she had 3 horses that do not get along at all. And she puts their stalls at night and she puts them for, extended turnout during the day. So I said to her, well, just try one, try one. Oh, no. And interestingly, her small 14 2-hand pony bosses the 17 3-hand monster around.
They're the
And she
little
sent me
ones with
pictures of
big
this, and
thoughts. Yeah.
I just said, just try one, just see how it happens. It'll take and then I'd be happy to sell you a second one, but try one, because she was ready to buy 2 right out of the gate. Anyways, she bought one, and within a week, she's sending me pictures now and videos of her horses, all of them together, eating contentedly at the
That's
optimizer.
awesome.
She can't believe the change in the demeanor of her little pony.
Makes
Yeah.
a difference.
That's a very good thing to do, probably, is to take video, or I guess video would be the best thing, and see the before and after. I think you would be amazed at what the changes are in the horses.
Yeah. I think part of it is when they get to the idea that they realize that, there's always hay there, and they can eat at a pace that is comfortable for them. And the whole grazing of it, they kind of, they nibble a little bit over there, and then they take a big bite over there, and then they nibble some more. So their minds are working, their mouths are working. And of course, the great thing is, because they're taking little bites, they're chewing so much, they're creating a lot of saliva. And so unlike when you meal feed your horse hay, and they tend to eat big gulps and chew it quickly, they're not creating as much saliva as they would naturally. And it's the saliva that they have to create. Apparently in nature, horses chew 14,000 times a day. And whereas if you meal feed your horse hay, it only chews 2,000 or 3,000 times a day. And it's that chewing action that creates the saliva, which creates the buffering in their GI tract. Of course, always having a little bit of food going through that 1,000-foot intestine of theirs is good, versus a bolus of food and then nothing for hours, and then another bolus for food. And so I think the horses just learn that, they're just feeling so much calmer because they're doing what they would do more naturally, which is graze.
Exactly. And a couple of things I want to bring up too, that we had some people on one of our posts that asked some questions about the feeder being outside and in the weather. I'd like to kind of talk about that too, because the thing is that sometimes I don't know if everybody realizes. I mean, you put, depending upon how many horses you have, is the amount of hay you can put into the optimizer. It can hold up to 2 bales of hay, but that doesn't mean you have to put 2 bales of hay in the feeder itself. The other thing is then when the weather comes, if it's raining or snowing, people were saying, well, the hay could mold. And here's my thought, honestly. My horses usually eat the amount that they're given daily. If you're putting a lot of feed out there for, say, 1 horse or 2 horses and they're not going through it, I don't think you necessarily have to put that much hay out at one time. You just fill it a little bit more. But I'll tell you this too, the wet hay, we have a horse that is a heavy horse, has some problems, and we, literally have to wet his hay down. Horses with Cushing's, we have a pony that has a insulin deficiency, our kind of heavy horse, that damp hay, because it takes the, gets all of the dust and things off of it, it's not as dusty, actually is beneficial to the horses. So my first thought to anybody thinking, ooh, it's out in the weather, it's not going to hurt it. And hopefully, of course, we buy hay that's good to start. We don't put hay that's out there that is moldy, because sometimes hay can be baled. There can be dampness in it. You can find some mold sometimes in it. We don't want to put that out anyway. But if you put that hay out there and your horses are on it and eating it, you're not going to have a problem with the mold. And I think people were worried that it's going to sit there. Here's the thing. If we let it sit there and it's there for weeks, yes, you can have that problem. But that's not the point. The point is that they get their food for the day. We feed our horses daily, and you're replenishing it. Like Sue told me, if it gets wet, a little bit wet that's left behind, push that over to the side. Put your new hay in. Take the hay that's a little bit damp. Put it on top. They eat that first. It's not going to hurt them,
Yeah.
So it should
No.
relieve people's minds. They don't need to worry about that.
I just want to say real quick, if you are not sure where to start when you're purchasing your hay, we have a great podcast with a hay farmer. His name is Andy, and I think it's one of our Closer to the Beginning podcasts, but it was an excellent podcast, and it will be linked with this one.
It does make a
Oh,
difference what hay
good.
you purchase. Yes.
Oh, it certainly does. And with regard to the weather, so the manger itself is made out of a very, very durable plastic.
it
It's the
is.
same
Mm-hmm.
plastic that is used in playground equipment, and in fact, our manufacturer manufactures playground equipment, and and so it's clearly helped in the design of this to ensure that it is safe. And
Durable with horses. Very
temperature,
durable.
they're very durable with
very
horses. So
durable.
like all the corners are rounded.
Yes.
It's extremely durable. It's durable from like up to minus 60 degrees in the cold, and hot temperatures, Arizona type summers. The plastic's got UV stabilization in it, so that it won't degrade over time. That's why we feel so confident in it, that we've put a lifetime warranty on the manger.
Amazing.
So under normal use, if you drive over it with your tractor, we won't warranty that, but under normal use with normal horse wear and tear, it should last a lifetime. In addition, what the hay net itself is held into position with is a stainless steel assembly. We originally were going to go with just galvanized metal, but we found that the winter performance wasn't as good. It didn't stay as easy to slide, and stainless steel lasts forever. And so that's why we also have a lifetime warranty on the hay net assembly. The net itself is made out of a knotted nylon, which is a fabric. It's a very durable net. It's been tried and true, tested in other equine hay net products here in Canada for over 5 years. And there are nets that are 5 years old and still, in excellent condition with those products. So we picked a netting that had a track record. And of course, we tested it ourselves. We also tested, netting from other sources from Asia, for example, which, there's certain things, choices you make, you look at cost and you look at quality, and usually it's, you have to choose one or the other.
Sure.
And when we tested the Asian nets, I couldn't believe how, within weeks, they started to look like they were starting to, be shredded a little bit by the horses. And I thought, no, I don't expect these nets will last forever, because they are fabric,
Right.
but we want a net that's going to last a good long time, so that, and then it's fairly easy to replace. And we sell replacement nets, and we do sell nets with different size holes as well. So our standard hole is 1.5 inches or 1.6 inches. We've got a smaller size available now as well. And we hope to also source a bigger size for future.
How many horses do you put on one of the optimizers at a time, and how, I know we've got, I think, what did you say, we have 8 or 6? I'm sorry,
Six in the
out
paddock.
in the paddock. but you don't want that hay net to be abused either. So what is that happy medium?
Oh, yeah. So I wouldn't say the number of horses affects the net at all. It's really about how often do you need to feed, how long are your horses out in the pasture or in the paddock, and how often do you want to feed, And so, for example, this woman that I mentioned, Jennifer, with the three horses, her horses are out all day. So one optimizer for three horses is plenty.
Okay.
Mhm.
She likes to ensure that her horses have hay the whole time. So
Mhm.
she's probably, would have put in 2 bales to start, and then every day supplement with maybe another bale or so,
Mhm.
just kind of move the hay
Mhm.
around inside,
Mhm.
or let it go for 2 days. In our case, because I don't live at the farm, we feed in the winter every 36 to 48 hours. And because we have prototypes all over the place, so we're testing things.
Yeah.
I currently have 4 optimizers in use for 8 horses, or for
Mhm.
7 horses.
Mhm.
So I have way more than I need,
Yeah.
but I'm doing that so that I reduce the number of times that we have to feed, the frequency that we have to feed, excuse me. And also I'm testing some new things. So I want to have lots of things that are
Mhm.
being tried.
Mhm. I want to say too that this feeder is so easy to use. Basically, it's a slide bar with a net on it that just slides and glides so easily. So you just can kind of pick the net up, push the bar back, lay your 2 bales in, pull your nylon or your twine off of your baling twine off, and then slide it closed, and it latches closed, and it's so easy to use. So it's fast, it's simple. Um, I don't know what to say about it except that it's just so quick. It's so easy. Whereas if you have to try to mess around with hay bags and filling them, or I've seen other feeders where they're just more difficult to load. This is just such an easy unit. It goes very quick, very easy for anybody they they want to just get their chores done and do things with their horses or other things that they want to do. Hmm.
Exactly. Well, and then we came up with the tagline: slow feeding, quick filling.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it is. Right. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
And we
Yeah.
even when we were younger, we dropped hay at like every other post, and the horses were continually fighting to get the newest, or hay, a couple flakes of hay that you put out, and it's on the ground. It wasn't I mean, we've learned a lot since we've come along, and there's a lot of things that you have to learn. But, it's not good for them to be in the dirt and things like that either. And then they were done with it within a couple hours, and that was it. That's all they had. This is like an all day long,
Yeah.
It's cleaner. Hmm.
You mentioned the dirt, and earlier I think you mentioned sand lots and things. And a couple of our customers here in Canada, they one in particular, a story I'll never forget. She has a Tennessee Walker that she actually got from Tennessee, and was having terrible problems with sand colic. She was feeding the horse hay on the ground in their paddock, which was sandy, and this horse is a beautiful pinto with a white tail, and its tail was always brown because he had diarrhea.
Hmm.
And so she bought an optimizer and completely cured the sand colic.
Wow.
And now she sent me a picture with her horse with his beautiful white tail.
Oh,
Aw.
so sweet. Yeah, there are
Yeah,
so many
so
benefits. Yes.
yeah, yeah, and
Especially,
she was feeding on rubber mats as well.
yes,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
even though I just but she was it made a big difference to her horse's
Yeah.
health.
I was gonna say in California, the lots, I mean, are so
So much.
small
Yeah.
for the horses that they just get so bored, and then they start to, play with the fence, or they get injured from some of these things. The fencing gets,
They're trying to get any
broken,
grass they can.
and so this is the best option for something like that too. Absolutely the best
It
option.
is for certain. Yeah. Yeah. Supplementing with them with their food is just important because that's what they are grazing animals, and that's just
Yeah.
such a big deal. And sand is so fine too. Going back to the sand, it just gets into everything, and so you have to be careful with that. I like it because the legs put the unit up high enough that it's easy for them to eat, just like a manger, just like Sue said. The other thing you can do too, though, is if you have minis or small very small ponies or whatever, you can opt to take the legs off and put the unit down. You can set it on something. I don't know if you have a suggestion of what's best for it, but you can just set it right down on the ground and they can eat from it and they're just fine. They can reach it.
Yeah, we've got a person out on Vancouver Island, actually, way on our west coast. She has Newfoundland ponies, and they're pretty small. So she has two optimizers now, and she because they get so much rain there as well on the west coast, she's actually put her two optimizers in shelters with the legs off. So sort of a double bonus. She doesn't have to worry about drainage.
There you go. Sure.
And she has beautiful shelters. She has walk-through style shelters, which are just beautiful. But yeah, so if you take the legs come off really easily, they're separate pieces. They're just, each one is on with a carriage bolt that goes down. So it's just, you just need a wrench with a long socket and take the nut off, the leg comes off, easy peasy. And then it drops it down to only 22-inch height. So it works very well with minis and ponies and everything. But yeah, if you do leave it out where there's going to be rain or snow, you have to put it on something, you would hope, just so that it would drain. Or move it frequently, I guess, or just at least be aware that it can't drain if it's sitting directly on the ground.
Well, I feel really totally spoiled at this point with the horses being able to eat out of the optimizers, honestly, because it solved our problems. We've had horses for years and years and years. And, we've done the whole thing of feeding them in their stalls, to feeding them outside, to letting them graze. And then when it came down to the number of horses that we have now in the pasture that we have, they do a pretty good job of eating the grass down. There's still grass all over, but they eat it down, and they're just hungry horses, So the optimizer out in the pasture, the one pasture with, I say the big horses because we have smaller ponies and minis too, but the horses has helped them so that they are able to, eat when the grass, like right now for us at this time of the year, we're close to winter. The grass isn't growing like it is. Helps to, they're happy, and then the minis and the ponies, it works so well with them too because it's just easy for them to eat. It stays clean, easy to load, but just they're satisfied. And so, and I wish I could say something that would help people to understand the difference between some of the other feeders that we've used in this one. But I think, like Sue has just said, honestly, if you just try it, you'll see the difference. And she said the same words to me, and now I'm saying them to you. You just need to try it,
It's last night I was talking to a woman out in Alberta, Canada. So, 3,000 miles from here. She's ordered two. We're going to be shipping them out on Monday morning. And, so for her to have that leap of faith included, with a pretty significant shipping charge to ship all that distance. But she looked at some of the videos that we have and, video testimonials and things. And she said that really helped her to sort of imagine what it would be like to use optimizers in her two paddocks. So yeah, it is hard. It's, sadly, it's hard. We really wrestled with a lot of choices that we had to make with regard to design and cost and quality, and in every case, I guess Matthew and I, designing this together, we just really felt that we would rather build something that worked really well, that would last for a long time, that was safe. And we know that we probably built a little bit of extra cost in by doing it the way that we did, by choosing the materials that we chose, and the weight of the for example, the polyethylene manger, how much material. But if a horse kicks that, we want it to not break.
Right.
I won't say it won't break all the time, but it could. But we want it to withstand, all the normal wear and tear, and provide years and years and years and years of value to the horse care owners. And and when you look at the price of hay, we're pretty lucky here in Canada, this part of Canada. I'm only paying about $5 a bale for hay. And in American dollars, that means $4 a bale.
Wow.
And so, but yet people here can still cost justify this product by saying, okay, we're going to save 20% or 30% hay, and when you add that up per month, that's, maybe 70 or $80 a month times a year. That's, $700 or $800, $900 a year. And, as humans, we don't tend to think of those things. We tend, we kind of let money dribble through our fingers, and it's hard to make an investment in order to save money. But well, we've got a lot of people who have they tried one, especially locally here where that was easy. They could pick one up, get it home, put it in the paddock, come back for 2 or 3 more. Or in case of one stable, they've got 15 of them now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
So
I feel like as horse people, we know you get what you pay for. I mean, yes, you can buy things that are very expensive in the horse world. I understand this, but the thing is that when you find products that I think people who are horse owners like very much so, knowing that the person that made this for the benefit of the horse, and that their main goal is to, serve this horse better than what it had been before, to help, and then you're getting cleaner feed, better feed, you're not wasting it. And then when the passion of that comes through and people understand it, I don't think sometimes people understand some of the products are just out there made for horses, but this is something that came from a line of people who have had horses, people who are really looking out for the horse's benefit, and what can we do to make it easier for the people taking care of them. And then you have a product that also is good quality, that's long lasting. I mean, with a lifetime warranty. I mean, with horses, we've got 1,000, 1,200-pound animals. Guys, we all know what our horses can do in our barns. Even the sweetest horse can do things that we didn't expect, But to have a good product like that, once they understand what's behind it too, then it really needs to be, it's something to be looked at. It really is. So we really think it's a fabulous product. And like I said, we're using it with our own horses. We see every day what, what they're doing and how it's being used. And maybe it sounds like it's a simple thing, but boy, being in the fencing business and the stall business, you can't believe how many people that we talk to, who have problems with their fences because their horses have leaned on it because they want the grass on the other side. And, their horses continue to damage their fencing because those poor horses want food, So if you do this, it also helps with the maintenance of other things, but gives them what they need. And I think that's so important.
Agreed.
yes, that's so very, very true. Well, and I have to say from our end here in Canada, it's been such a delight for me to work with your company and all the really experienced people at RAM. It's so good to meet like-minded people who care about their horses, care about their customers and
Nice
their business.
to work with horse people. Yeah, and that's what we like. So,
And-
yep.
So I'm so happy that you chose to distribute this product
Well,
for us in the United States, and
we're honored.
and anything I can do to help your customers learn more or answer questions, we're here for that. So
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be taking a short break, and when we come back, we'll enter our next segment, Canter Banter.
This podcast is brought to you by Ram Horse Fencing and Stalls, the one-stop shop for your horse farm. Ram is family-owned and operated and has been in business for over 30 years. We welcome you to call in and speak with an expert about your next project today at 866-653-8984. Again, that's 866-653-8984. Do you love horses and live the equestrian lifestyle? Be sure to check out our brand new blog at www.yourhorsefarm.com. We publish 3 posts per week and feature a free printable equine checklist every month. Yourhorsefarm.com is a great equine online resource, so be sure to share with all the horse lovers in your life. And remember, laugh much and ride often.
one of the things that we love to do, our farm is about 5 miles from our town here, our city of Guelph. And we will trailer the horses into the city. And we have lots of beautiful walking trails in this city. We have a fairly large university here, nice campus. And so for the last number of years, my daughter and I in particular, and my husband, sometimes the three of us will trailer in and we'll just ride around town. And the
Wow.
number of times, so we love it because it's different footing for the horses. They get to
Mhm.
exposed to so many things. And quite frankly, if you're feeling just a tad depressed, there's nothing like riding a horse on a university campus and being mobbed by
Oh,
so
how
many people.
sweet. Oh, how
You
sweet.
know, they're not looking at me, but they're looking at and loving my horse.
Yes.
And it just
Yeah.
makes me
Yeah.
feel so good
Yes.
that I'm so fortunate to have a horse.
Aw.
So my daughter and I love this one section at the University of Guelph called Johnson Green.
Should we
And
get
it's right
together?
off a busy road. So often there'll be like buses and lots of students walking through, but it's this beautiful um, uh, park, I guess, that leads up to the university. And we always love to gallop our horses from the corner where the bus
Oh, how
stop is
fun.
all the way to the first building,
Wow.
and then we clip clop
Can you
through the
imagine?
university grounds.
Oh,
Yeah.
So cool.
I bet you love it, and I bet they do too. There's nothing like
Yeah.
hearing horses' hoofs on the pavement or
Oh,
seeing them,
well,
especially in town. Oh my
and
goodness.
that part of the university is quite old, and so we,
Yeah.
for sure, some of those cobbled pathways were cart paths and horse paths at one time.
Wow.
So
Very cool.
in a way, you can almost imagine the ghosts of time
Oh,
Yeah.
before,
I want to be there.
that yeah, it's a lot of fun. We also ride right through town ride through drive-throughs to get coffee and
Oh, Sue, that's too much fun. Now I'm wrong. I would love to do that. That would be like the most fun thing in the
It
world
would
to
be.
do.
You could saddle up your
It's
horse and ride down Airport Highway.
There you go. We have a highway in front of our office, so we're talking about a 4-lane highway. I don't think that'll happen, but anyway.
no, I don't think I would enjoy that either.
But we did used to
Oh.
take our horses uptown when we lived in White House up
We
to
did.
dinner.
We
and so we
did.
would, and we
Yes.
did more of not just like a riding them, but we did
Yeah.
a wagon. And
We did.
Yeah.
We had a team of horses, and we'd drive some people up there
Oh.
and have dinner, and then come back, and it was fun. And
Oh,
really,
see,
really
I would
nice
love
to do.
that.
Yes, it was
That
small
sounds-
town, but
it's not like that anymore. and
no,
I don't think we
can't
could
do
get away with that anymore.
No, so how exciting!
Well, I
that
get
would be.
asked all the time, "Are you allowed to do this? Are you allowed to do this?" And so we've talked to the campus police at the university. We've talked
That's
to
so
various
nice.
people. And we didn't really know who to ask. So,
Yeah.
but no one has said no.
Hmm.
So
Oh, that's so cool.
so now our quick line is that we're just part of the University of Guelph Riding Club.
There you
Because-
go.
Nice.
There you
And
go.
we just made that up. That like it's like our family, I guess, is now the University
so
of Guelph
funny.
Riding
That's
cute.
really
Club.
neat.
We did that one time. We had a group of people, and we lived on a road called Wilkins Road, and our group was the Wilkinshire Hunt Club. So we
Yeah.
and we loved it. So we just all went out as a group together, and it was fun. So oh,
Yeah.
it sounds just lovely. You've got to take some pictures sometime when you do that. We want to see them. So that would be fun
You
to
know what?
see your
I'd be happy to
cobblestone
send you some
areas.
pictures that you can.
Yes.
There
Sorry
you
to
go.
interrupt about. I'll send you some
No,
pictures that you
yeah.
can use in this broadcast if you like, so that people are
There you go.
Oh,
They
that
if
can
they're
would be
watching,
see.
they can see some nice pictures.
They would love
Not
it.
just us.
That's great. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, we hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast and encourage you to share with all your equestrian family and friends. You can tune into the Late Night Riders podcast show every Friday night. Each episode will be uploaded exclusively on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with all of our latest shows. Do you have a topic you'd like us to discuss? We want to hear from you. You may email us at podcast@ramfunds.com or feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you again for listening.